What's the difference between Gracie Jiu Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu? That's a very common question amongst beginners and people who are considering starting training Jiu Jitsu. The truth is, yes, there are some differences, but there is also a lot of overlapping between those two styles. It's not a matter of which one is better because both are great. It's more about what you're looking for and what you want to focus on. Gracie Jiu Jitsu is Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because it was created and developed in Brazil. But not all Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is Gracie Jiu Jitsu. The main differences between the two styles are their training objectives and the techniques themselves. To be considered as a Gracie Jiu Jitsu technique, the technique has to pass through a filter, called by the Gracies as the Helio and Carlos Gracie filter, the founders and creators of Jiu Jitsu. The filter has three elements. First, the technique has to be energy efficient. Second, the technique has to be based on natural movement so anyone can do it. And third, the technique has to have applications outside of the gym in a real fight. So let's talk about the first filter now, energy efficiency. Both styles, Gracie Jiu Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, will offer you the same. Techniques that are based on leverage and timing, so you won't exhaust yourself during a match, a competition, or a real fight. Remember that Jiu Jitsu was created for the smaller guy to beat the bigger guy in a scenario where there are no rules and no time limit. So one of the strategies to beat a bigger guy is by wearing him down, letting him get tired. So eventually we can capitalize on his mistakes and his fatigue. In order to do that, we have to be energy efficient. Now, if you're going 100% and don't know how to pace yourself, you're gonna get beat up, especially against a bigger guy. And if you're doing that, if you're getting tired before your opponent and you cannot even fight anymore, that's not Jiu-Jitsu. Second element, techniques that are based on natural movement so anyone can do it, regardless of age and gender. Here we start seeing some differences between Gracie Jiu Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. If you are learning a technique that's based on any physical attribute like strength, speed, explosiveness, flexibility, that's not Gracie Jiu Jitsu, that's Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Techniques like flying arm bars, flying triangle, rubber guard, cartwheel passes, they are all techniques that rely on physical attributes. There is nothing wrong with that. They are also super effective, but not everybody can do them. And if you possess those physical attributes, you might not learn those techniques in a Gracie Jiu Jitsu school, but you will still be allowed to do them on your own. Now, third element, techniques that have application in a real fighting situation. That's the biggest difference between Gracie Jiu Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. All Gracie Jiu Jitsu techniques are also part of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but not the other way around, because lots of the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu techniques do not take in consideration strikes and punches, because their goal is not only self-defense and fighting, but also competitive Jiu Jitsu, where the rules do not allow strikes. Brazilian Jiu Jitsu gives you more freedom to create and express yourself and come up with new techniques because you're not trapped into that filter, but they are not necessarily techniques that take in consideration the strikes. The reality is that most gyms will teach you a bit of each style. Even the Gracie Academy teaches techniques that are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, sport techniques, because they know the importance of being a well-rounded student and martial artist. But most gyms will focus on one or the other. It could be 90-10, 80-20, or even some gyms they focus 50-50, sport and self-defense, fighting situation. Also, it's important to note that there is nothing wrong with being good on both styles. We have so many guys that started with sport jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and became great MMA fighters like Jose Aldo, Ryan Hall, Gilbert Burns, Demian Maia, Ronaldo Jacaré, and many guys that started with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu since day one and they became world champions like Roger Gracie, Royler Gracie, Kron. So at the end of the day, it depends on what you're looking for and your preferences. And more likely than not, you will change your focus from time to time throughout your Jiu-Jitsu journey so you can become a more well-rounded practitioner. Using myself as an example here, I am 45 years old now. I've been training since 1997. I've competed a lot in Jiu-Jitsu. I've trained MMA a lot with some of the best guys. I never competed in MMA, but I have a lot of experience. And for me right now, I don't see myself getting into any street altercation. Not only because I got the confidence from training, I believe in myself, I know how to de-escalate the situation, but also because of my age, I'm not going to crazy places, I'm not, getting drunk all over, I know how to, behave, in society, so I don't see that happening to me anytime soon, even though, of course, we never know what's gonna happen, but I also know that I'm ready if something happens. So for me right now, I'm interested in just having fun and going to the gym, getting my sweat, training my techniques, grappling. Once in a while, I do some, self-defense. I train with punches. I teach my students, of course, because even though if I don't do it, they have to know, right? That's the foundation, the self-defense, the fighting stuff. But personally, I don't do as much anymore. It's not as fun for me anymore. I just want to go there and have a good time. I keep my reflexes, I keep sharp with the self-defense situation, but it's not my priority right now. It might change later, I don't know, but right now, that's how I think.